on with Willard and Dibbs.
Oh, man.
They interviewed Steve Young last night, and they're going to replay the entire interview today. And Steve Young was absolutely spectacular, as always.
Absolutely incredible.
And he was talking about the San Francisco 49ers. And this is what he said 2 days ago. 2 days ago, this is what Steve Young said about the Niners.
The most pressure was last year, right? Because last year the Rams are down, the whole division's down, Seahawks are down, the Cardinals are way down. You know, in the playoffs you play a Packer team that's been middling the whole time. You got an upstart Lions squad. You're like, that's how we get to the Super Bowl, and then you play a down year Chiefs team. Like, of all the times that you're set up to do it, that was it. But since the Ravens at Christmas, I mean, we just weren't the same. And you know, we held Patrick Mahomes to 19 points. You could have told me, look, Patrick Mahomes won't score 3 touchdowns. We're not going to win that game? Like, you know, you're not going to walk over the Packers. You're not going to walk over the Lions. Like, things were haywire from Christmas on, and that's why last year was the time with the best roster in football to go get it done. And the fact is it didn't happen. That happens. It happened to me. I get that. But now next year, I think the Rams will be better. I think Marvin Harris will make the Cards better. The Seahawks will be better. The Lions will be, the Packers will be better. Like, it's going to get better. And we're probably not, I don't know if we'll get better, but hopefully we can stay the same and still beat the rank and file with this amazing roster we have and the way that we are innovative, we deploy the guys on offense. Then, yeah, great. But what just happened was a big miss. It was too bad.
God, I love that. Steiny, everything, man.
All right, so that was Steve Young a couple days ago.
Damn.
And last night, Willard and Dibbs interviewed him at the Dwight Clark Legacy event. And we're going to run that interview in its entirety. But I wanted to share this one piece as a tease, people, because Mark Willard asked him to elaborate on that, and that's what we're going to get into. Take a listen to what Steve Young said last night, and you can hear the whole interview with Willard and Dibbs.
There were needs that kept coming up from old 49ers, things that you just... I need a hip replacement. I can't walk, or my vision's gone. You think, the system will take care of them. That wasn't taking care of them. They had needs that, as Niners, we just wanted to step up. So the Golden Heart Fund is to do that. It's the money to go step up as people. Niners have been here, whether it's for a year or whether 10 years or whatever. We're going to watch for you and make sure you're okay. So that's tonight. And then you add Dwight's name, because Dwight was somebody that when he was here, I threw his last touchdown pass. When he was on the team, he was the Pied Piper. You know what I mean? There were a lot of interesting personalities on the team, a lot of dominant, big-time stuff. But he was the Pied Piper that just went everywhere and sowed seeds like Johnny Appleseed of, like, goodwill. And it was vital that we had. I'm trying to think who would be today's Dwight Clark on the team. But he was that guy that just was the glue that went through everybody. So when you talk about the Golden Heart Fund and what its intent is, and then you add Dwight's name to who he was, that's why people come. That's why when they call me, I'm like, I'm there. You know, I want to support that.
All right, that wasn't the one. That was more on the Golden Heart Foundation and Dwight Clark and what he meant. This is the one that we're going to talk about.
The really great organizations, the window never actually closes. It can narrow and then widen and narrow. And so, as we talked about the other day, if you want these names to win a Super Bowl, then it's a limited window and narrowing quickly, because as you got to go pay Brock, it's going to change. And so those names the jerseys you're wearing today that you love are not going to be the jerseys if we're going to win a Super Bowl in a couple of 3 years, which is still possible because it doesn't close. It just depends on who you draft to replace those guys that you're wearing their jersey, that you end up wearing that new person's jersey in a couple, 3 years. That's the 49ers challenge, and the teams that do that stay around the top for a long time. And I think that with Kyle's offense, John's vision, Jed's ownership, we can stay in that mix. The faithful should not panic. We have an infrastructure the window will not close. It's just, again, the guys that you love, if you want them to all to win a Super Bowl, it's not either last year or this year, right? It just has to happen.
Wow.
Yeah. What did you say yesterday? If you or I would have said it, or any old Yoko Doko, they'd be like, what are you talking about? You hear him say it, it hits different.
I mean, to me, this is very similar to what the Warriors are going through. And here's, to me, what Steve Young's saying. If the 49ers don't win a Super Bowl this year, that the next time they win a Super Bowl, if they ever do, whether it's the following year or 10 years, it's not going to be the same team.
No doubt.
Like, this is it. This is the 49ers' last dance, is what Steve Young is saying, clearly, because he sees the writing on the wall once they have to pay.
He cited the division getting better, Steiny, just with the Rams. But I guess, Steiny, I didn't do a good job. That's all I try to confess to you and the masses is when I say Super Bowl or bust, I'm damn sure not robbing or being blind to the fact that the Niners have had hellified years. It's like they're so good. Kyle's so brilliant offensively, scheming up the plays. You just look and you ask yourself, what's missing? It's that Lombardi trophy. And, I will say this. Every team's facing that. How you stay relevant. Well, every great team does. Okay, every very good team does. And the Niners are not there yet. So when you say last dance, you mean because collectively right now.
Last dance.
Okay, yeah. No, I hear you.
They're not going to be the same next this year and the following year are going to be different.
That's heavy.
They're not going to have the same personnel. So if you want all these guys to get a title, it's got to be next year. But it's kind of what he's saying is similar to what I think the Warriors should be saying. Like, the window hopefully will always be open, but with these guys right here, right now, it's open very little.
Yeah.
Even with Steph Curry. And, if the Warriors don't win a title now, then these guys are done winning titles, is what he was saying. So, but the one thing I want to get to is, the one thing that you say that I oftentimes take exception to is something that is true to me once in a while, and that is this. When we say Super Bowl or bust for the Niners, I've always, even last year, I was like, you don't get to win the Super Bowl every year. So stop stop making it Super Bowl or bust. However, I do think there are teams that reach a point where it is NBA title or bust, NFL Super Bowl or bust, or World Series or bust. And this upcoming year, I think it's absolutely fair to say it's Super Bowl or bust for the San Francisco 49ers. If they don't win the Super Bowl, I don't want to say it's a failure, but the season will not have ended well. And in a way, Goo, I think it's a credit to how great this team is. But I was thinking, how many teams in pro sports right now have the NBA title or bust? How many teams out there have the Super Bowl or bust? And how many teams out there in baseball have you got to win the World Series or bust? Like, to me, very few teams have that going for them. And where do you put the Warriors right now? Where do you put the 49ers, et cetera? All right. When we come back, we'll talk more about that. We'll get into more of the Steve Young sound on 95.7 The Game.
Don't miss major Memorial Day